Welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. It's Friday, April 4th, directly after a massive win for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, but at what cost? Yes, that's right. Another day goes by and another huge injury for Bayern Munich occurs. And I feel like I'm kind of walking on eggshells every day, looking at Bayern Munich training reports or even watching matches now. So, yes, huge win for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga over FC Augsburg. Moments ago, I'm recording this reaction right after. 3-1 was the final score. We'll break down that entire match. I also have an audio message from Jim. I'll have to find a beautiful picture for this video. Once again, Jim sent me the audio for his reaction to Chelsea beating Spurs 1-0 in the Premier League yesterday. Big win for Chelsea as well. Fun match. It's been a while since I feel like I've seen a fun Chelsea match, so that was cool for them. And Chelsea always beats Spurs, so there we go. Maybe I'll drop in a few thoughts of my own, but I will get Jim's reaction at the end of this video. And yes, it is a video episode once again, so head over to the YouTube channel, Always Bayern Chelsea, and subscribe and watch all these video episodes we're dropping out now. Dropping out, I guess that's a funny way to say it, but we're dropping now. That would be the better way to say it, huh? But yes, so we have a really cool international collaboration coming too. I will be recording that this weekend on Sunday and hopefully dropping it before the Inter match, maybe Monday or maybe Sunday, depending on how quickly I can edit that as well. So again, just stay tuned. We have tons of huge things coming, huge matches, and just a lot of fun. If you can't tell, based off my voice, I do have a cold or something. I'm sick, so my voice probably sounds like trash. So thank you for hanging with me through this sickness, and I will continue to pump out content for you because, yeah, the season is heating up. We've been saying it. Bayern is coming to the end of the Bundesliga. They now only have 6 matches left, I believe. Next weekend's match being Der Klassiker against Borussia Dortmund, and that match is sandwiched in between just massive Champions League matches. It's the quarterfinals, 2 legs versus Inter Milan. 2 legs is maybe more than a lot of Bayern Munich players have at this point because, I said it, Jamal Musiala got injured in this one, and Bayern is so banged up right now. They don't have really any defenders that are not banged up. So why don't I start my reaction here by breaking down Vincent Kompany's lineup for this one. Not really a lot of surprises because there's not a whole lot that he could have done just based off available players. But, there are a few things I would like to mention. So, starting with the goalkeeper in between the sticks, we saw Jonas Erbig. Pretty good match from Erbig, I thought. The goal, once again, wasn't his fault. The goal was due to a defensive miscue, poor positioning, miscommunication. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not in the minds of these guys, but the goal was almost unsavable and due to the defense. So not a bad match from Erbig. He's, getting his bearings, I guess. He's getting his feet under him. He is learning to be the number 1 goalkeeper for Bayern Munich. And so far, I think he's done well being thrust into such a huge spotlight so quickly. Not that long ago, a couple months ago, he was riding the bench at a Zweite Bundesliga side. So that is a massive jump for anybody. He's handling himself well, I think. He plays with a lot of confidence, similar to Neuer. Again, I'm not ready to anoint anybody the next Manuel Neuer yet at this point, but it's all systems go with Erbig. I think he's looking all right. And then at the right back position, we did see Konrad Laimer, as expected. Konrad Laimer has been putting in some good shifts so far. I thought he was mostly at fault for this goal, so it wasn't his best performance today, but it wasn't all around horrible. He still is playing with that passion and that aggression that you see him play with, and I think he just has that edge to him that is needed sometimes for this team. So, Connie Laimer putting in an okay showing, but could have definitely done better on that goal. The center backs were Eric Dyer and Min-jae Kim. Kim, as you most likely know, is totally injured, like he's just playing because he's pretty much the only option we've got at this point. And it sounds like Kim wants to play. It sounds like he's in Kompany's ear asking him to play. And Kim is a warrior, so I'm a little bit sad because I'm not saying he's gonna make a mistake, right, in one of these big matches, but it's going to be tough, and the man is dealing with Achilles tendonitis. He's dealing with a cold now, just like me, and I can tell you it's not easy. And apparently he has back problems caused by his cold as well. So there's a lot that's ailing Kim right now, and he's still battling. He's still being a warrior, and he's still playing through it. So really kudos to Kim for that on the mentality side. We'll see what happens in these big matches. Obviously, he has made some mistakes in big matches before when he's been run into the ground. So we're going to see what's going to happen with Kim. But so far, for this match, as far as this match goes, I thought he was the probably the best on that back line. Maybe Stanisic, but we'll get to that. Dyer, I thought, had an all right match as well. Not really anything to complain about with Dyer. He was solid like he tends to be. Josip Stanisic, that was maybe the most interesting choice on the left back spot there. Stanisic used to play left back with Bayern, but has since become a right back, on loan last year with Bayer Leverkusen. And his position, is that right back spot, but he's just has to play left back because Bayern has nobody else that's fit enough to play left back. Even Rafa Guerreiro, who is somebody who can kind of fill that role at times, isn't 100%. He was banged up throughout the week and had only one day of training. So Stanisic filled in at that left back spot. I thought he was quietly really solid. He didn't do anything that necessarily blew me away, but he was solid back there, and that's kind of what Stanisic is as a defender. He's solid. I think he's better at contributing to the offense from the right-hand side, but hey, I would advocate towards starting him at left back against Inter, so that's just my 2 cents. I like the guy, and I thought he did good today. The midfield was also kind of interesting. Obviously, you saw Joshua Kimmich. He plays every match. He's going to play every match. That's just Kimmich for you. He won't be told no. And but the other selection at the midfield there in that pivot was João Palhinha, which is interesting. One, because Pavlovic and Goretzka both are not healthy, so that sucks. But it was a good match to start Palhinha, I think. Palhinha will be needed in this stretch run of the season here because of all the injuries. So while he has not had the easiest time in Munich so far this whole season, battling with injuries, he just hasn't, I think, accustomed himself to the pace of the Bundesliga. He just hasn't fit in quite right. He has not been the best in this Vincent Kompany system so far. So we're going to need him, and this was a good chance for him to prove himself. I thought he did okay. I don't think he did anything wrong, but didn't really blow me away by any means. But again, we're going to need him. He's going to have to shake off some of that rust or whatever you want to call it. He's going to have to be the man in a lot of these matches from here on out. The attacking setup was as expected. The attacking setup was what I said last episode. It's going to have to be, I think, going forward. 4 electric players, when they're all on and working together, it's just a dynamite attack. So you had Leroy Sane at the left wing. You had Jamal Musiala until he got injured at the 10. You had Michael Olise at the right wing, and you had Harry Kane at the 9. And I thought the attack was very good today as well. We'll talk about it, but second half they missed a good amount of chances just because of how the match went. They were getting more and more chances, and they did miss a fair amount of those towards the end, but overall, they were creating chances, and I thought that those 4 players looked very good together. I thought they were probably the 4 best players on the pitch, to be honest, which I also probably would have said last week against St. Pauli. The match here gets going, and Bayern has a few chances early. I think that they looked all right. Augsburg is on this incredible run of form that I would have not ever expected out of FC Augsburg. They are one of the top teams in the second half of this year, 2025 onward. They are one of the best teams in the Bundesliga. They hardly concede any goals, so you kind of knew how Augsburg was going to set up, right? Bayern has had a tough time breaking down low blocks, and you knew that they were going to play with a lot of players back, and then try to strike off the counter with those top three attacking players. And yeah, they for a while had pretty much no attacking sensibility at all, and it was all Bayern Munich. But yeah, in the 30th minute, we saw the first goal of the match, which was really Augsburg's only big chance up until that point, and they just capitalized off of it. There's really no communication between the back line there, and I mentioned it earlier, but Konrad Laimer was out of position, and for as good as Konrad Laimer has been doing, transitioning from a midfielder to a right back this season out of necessity, he does struggle with his position. He does play more aggressive like a midfielder, and when you're on that back line and somebody beats you, that's it. It's almost a guaranteed goal. So Laimer kind of misreads the ball in. I think it was directly off of a free kick, but either way, it was one of the first few balls in off of a free kick. And the ball kind of, goes by his head, and Dyer is kind of playing Augsburg onside. I don't know if Laimer thought that Dyer was farther up or what was going through his head, but he kind of lets him go, and then Dyer doesn't really catch up to him in time, and it's a free shot, basically a free shot. Top bins, unsavable, like I said, nothing Urbig could have done there, and at that point it was a bummer because Bayern, was controlling the match as they do against these teams who play low blocks, but they just weren't breaking through, even though they did have a couple of good chances. So the back line was poor there, in an otherwise pretty solid effort, I thought, from the back line. They weren't tested very much, that's for sure, but I did think that they were just poor there. But 42nd minute, we did see Leroy Sane make a nice run and a beautiful finding Musiala in the box, kind of dead center at the goal. And up until this point, I thought Sane was probably the best offensive player. He was kind of shot out of a cannon. He was just aggressive. He seemed confident. Even the shot that he laid into the side netting, where I thought he should have went far post, he kind of tried to go near post, beat the keeper there, and hit it into the side netting instead of looking to go far post and get it past the keeper. But even that shot was confident and fast, and that's what I want to see out of Sane. Even though that one was a slight miss and maybe not the best decision, he was making chances, and he was decisive with his chances, I thought, and that's what I want to see out of him. Then, like I said, 42nd minute, he was decisive and found Musiala, who did this beautiful turnaround through 4-5 guys maybe, just buried a shot, like blindly, essentially. Got the ball from Sane, just turned around and fired it directly into the goal, and the keeper was pretty much dumbfounded. He hardly moved, and that was just great to see, because I thought Musiala was having a decent game up until that point. Then there you see he gets that goal, and he really turned it on from there. I thought after that he was really, really dangerous, and you just saw the attack kind of liven up from there. But we do go into halftime with the score being 1-1, and clearly Bayern was relieved to have equalized at that point. And like I said, after that, we really did see the attack start to click more. And like I said, Olise, Sane, Musiala, Kane, those four players are just on a mission. And we did see a beautiful attack from Bayern Munich, and Michael Olise shooting it off the crossbar. I can't remember who crossed that ball into him, but Michael Olise kind of tried to bounce it down, and really hard to control those, and actually ended up putting in a beautiful shot. But like I said, it went off the crossbar in this brilliant string of attack from Bayern. Unfortunately, Musiala is on the ground at that point, clutching his hamstring, and Bayern is still trying to attack for a little bit, and then they realize, okay, Musiala is seriously hurt. We just got to kick the ball out of bounds here and deal with this. So, it didn't look good. I'm not going to lie, Musiala looked like he could barely walk off the pitch. He was being helped by two guys kind of arms around the shoulders, as you see in sports, and he was not walking well. He was walking very gingerly, so it did not look good. All reports that I have right now are that he's for sure out for the Inter match on Tuesday, Champions League, and it could be a lot longer than that. So we will keep you updated at Always Bayern Chelsea, of course, as we always do, but wow, just such a moment of the match, if you want to call it that, because it could be a defining moment for the season if Musiala is out for the remainder of the season, along with the laundry list of names that I won't even bother running through again. But the other moment of the match happened a few minutes later, actually in the 58th minute. We did see a second yellow card awarded to FC Augsburg for tackling Kane from behind on a breakaway, and it was clearly one of those tactical fouls where Kane's breaking away and you just got to stop him, and it was a dumb challenge. Especially on a yellow card, it was an extremely dumb challenge because that's the second yellow card there, and just like that, Augsburg is down to 10 men, and from there, the tides really changed. Like I said, Bayern was already mounting some attacks. The score was 1-1. Augsburg was down to 10 men, and in the 60th minute, just 2 minutes later, Harry Kane grabbed the match and put everybody on his back and said, I'm dragging this thing to the finish line myself. As I've been saying the last couple of weeks, Kane has been playing like that. He's so desperate for a trophy. He deserves a trophy regardless of all the powers that be totally against him throughout his career, and now they're trying to take down all these Bayern players. They're taking down Musiala, Davies, Upamecano, Pavlovic, Coman, Neuer, you name it. Everybody on Bayern is getting injured, and Harry Kane says, no, enough. Give me a trophy. For crying out loud, I've earned it. And scores the go-ahead goal there to put Bayern Munich up 2-1. And it was a gorgeous cross in from Michael Olise. Man, that was just a pinpoint perfect cross from Olise, getting the assist there, and Kane puts his head on it and puts the ball in the back of the net like Harry Kane does. So, man, that sequence of events was electric. I was up. I was running. I was pumping my fists. I was screaming. It was, this is the business end of the season, and things are so exciting. Everything is so meaningful at this moment, and it was awesome to see that. But yeah, at that point, like I said, Bayern's attack was looking good. Obviously, Musiala comes out. Thomas Muller comes in. I didn't even mention that because there's been so much going on with Thomas Muller lately. I made a short the other day talking about the situation, but it sucks. I'll go on a little bit of maybe an abridged diatribe here, but who knows how abridged it'll actually be, because yeah, it sucks what Bayern's doing to Thomas Muller in kicking him out of the club. Thomas Muller is a club legend, one of the most important figures in the club's history. He's won everything in the world for this club. He's been with the club his whole career. He grew up in Munich through and through. He's a Bayern boy. And he's literally done everything you could possibly do for the club. Obviously, every coach under the sun, for whatever reason, tries to bench him. It never ends up working, and he always fights his way back into the lineup. Now it's looking like his playing time is diminishing, and he's not strictly from a sporting perspective worth the amount of money he's making. But the fact that Bayern Munich didn't even offer him a low ball offer is what's really throwing me. If Bayern comes to the table and says, hey, Thomas, you're not going to play very much. Obviously, Musiala's there, Kane's there. We're going to offer you $10 million a year to be a figurehead, to be a second coach, to be a backup, but also someone who can rotate in so these guys don't get hurt like Musiala is now. It doesn't really take a rocket scientist to figure out that you need to rotate in this day and age with all of the matches that are thrown at these players internationally, club, all these extra tournaments. I'm not going to talk about that because there's a lot of different opinions on players wanting more money, so more matches being added, whatever. Regardless, my point is Muller, it would be useful as a rotational piece here, okay? But Bayern did not come to the table and say, look, for this reason, we're offering you $10 million a year. They just said, get out of there. And that's what really rubs me the wrong way. If that's how they're going to treat a legend, I think, it's a thin line between being a club who really lives and dies Mia San Mia and being just any one of these other clubs who only goes off of statistics and, analytics and money, especially money, right? Because, Bayern Munich obviously is at a disadvantage from a lot of these Premier League clubs, from Real Madrid, Barcelona, all these clubs out there who have rich sugar daddies or who have oil money. That's not Bayern Munich. It's never going to be Bayern Munich. So obviously they're at a financial disadvantage. But, I think if you want to look at it from finances only, man, how much money could you milk out of a Thomas Muller's last season tour? You could, how much could you make merchandising? I mean, just off anything, advertisements, social media, jerseys, whatever you want, I mean, you're making anything you want back from that. But this is just something that I've really, it's been on me lately, and it's been grinding at me lately, because the more and more reports come out, the more and more they don't look good for Bayern. And again, if Bayern were to come to the table and say, Thomas, this is how much we can offer you, this is why, and Muller says, you know what, I think I want to broaden my horizons, I think I want to go to MLS where I can play more or whatever, hey, totally fine, respectable by both parties, right off into the sunset, end your career how you want, because at the end of the day, Muller has earned the right to end his career however he wants. But back to the match, looks like we're going to need him a lot more. Funny how karma, or how whatever you want to call it, works out. The footballing gods have a sense of humor, I guess. So Muller is now going to be a key piece in this Bayern Munich team going into the absolute stretch, most important do or die portion of the season. So we got that. Why don't I look at my notes here and try to figure out how this match ended after being so impassioned by that Thomas Muller rant. But Kane and Sane looked incredibly dangerous after that second goal, both of them, I thought, and Olise as well, until he came off. But man, this attack really opened up, and it really looked good. Obviously, Augsburg being down to 10 men, that's what's going to happen when you're facing guys like Kane, Sane, Olise. But then we did see Michael Olise eventually come out of the match. I got to look at when that happened, because I don't think I wrote that one down. 67th minute, Michael Olise comes out of the match. Serge Gnabry comes on. I thought it was a little early for that sub, but hey, you got to keep Olise fresh, so I get it. No harm, no foul there. But the other thing to mention, too, is part of the reason why I think Kane was looking so much better in the second half. I don't know if this is something that Kompany adjusted tactically at halftime or what, but Kane was in the box way more in the second half. He was being serviced like a target man should be, and incredibly dangerous. Like I said, maybe it was due to tactics, maybe it was due to Augsburg being down to 10 guys, maybe Kane just said, hey, enough with this, give me the match right here, right now. But it worked, because he was the target man. Bayern was having tons of chances. Late in the second half, really, Kane and Sane started to create so many chances that they started to actually miss a lot of them, and that maybe is a little concerning depending on how you want to look at it. But at one point, Sane had a wide open breakaway, and Sane missed the shot, shot it right at the keeper. He tried to shoot it around the keeper blocks it. But in the 93rd minute, Sane did redeem himself, I guess, by putting in a cross, what looked like a cross, to Serge Gnabry, who was rushing into the near post. Actually hit a deflected off of a defender, and it might be changed now to an own goal in the scoring books. But that was the dagger of the match right there. 93rd minute, 3-1 for Bayern, and obviously Augsburg wasn't coming back from the red card situation, but hey, it's a good win for Bayern Munich. It's so disheartening that Musiala got injured heading into this Champions League matchup against Inter, but hey, it is what it is. We push on. Match awards, I think I'll do a little bit differently, because I really thought that just the attacking quartet of Kane, Sane, Olise, Musiala were the best players on the pitch. So slice and dice those match awards however you want to. Those are my guys for this one. I think those were the main points I wanted to talk about. Again, the Muller contract thing, I don't get it. I don't get why cutting costs is only important when it comes to Thomas Muller. I don't get why cutting costs is not important at all when going through contract extensions, when signing a guy like Sacha Boey for $30 million or however much he cost, and Brian Zaragoza for 15 plus 5 or whatever his final cost ended up being. I don't get why cutting costs isn't important to Bayern Munich in those instances for players that, in the case of Boey and Zaragoza, aren't ever going to play. And I don't want to say mean nothing to the team, but compared to what Thomas Muller means to the team and the club, they don't mean as much, obviously. So I don't get why cutting costs is only important for Muller. It's been burning me up lately, so I just wanted to go out here and say that in an impassioned and fired up way. We're going to cut now to Jim's reaction to the Chelsea match. Enzo scoring that goal there in the 50th minute, assisted by Cole Palmer, was the only goal of the match. Spurs, I was shocked at how much space they were allowing Chelsea to have. I was shocked at how honestly poor they were throughout the whole match. And yeah, I thought that Chalobah had a great match for Chelsea on the defense. I thought Palmer looked great. Enzo Fernandez looked great. And so did Caicedo. So those are my few notes on Chelsea. Obviously, Bayern Munich now, we head into the most important Champions League stretch of the season, quarterfinals against Inter Milan, and I will preview that matchup a little bit more in my international collaboration that's coming up, so make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel to check that one out. Always Bayern Chelsea, thank you for sticking with us. We're going to have a lot more coverage coming up with all these matches, of course, because we got some cool stuff coming. I feel like I've said that 25 times now, but that's how amped up I am about this match, about this team, about always Bayern Chelsea. So thanks for watching. We'll kick it over to Jim now, and I'll end it up with a Mia San Mia.
Give me that Enzo Fernandez goal and badge Selly all freaking day. Man, this Chelsea team, when they play well and they're excited and celebrating, they're so much fun. I mean, they're one of the most fun teams in the world, for sure. I mean, definitely in the Prem. It's so good that Chelsea are back. We had this international break. We're gone for a while. It's March Madness. It's a break that I needed. I mean, I'm so refreshed and feeling great after that break, honestly. I didn't realize how much I needed it, but I really did. But in the same token, I'm very happy that my team is back, and they're back in winning ways. They're on a little bit of a streak now. This is a huge win against Tottenham. It was an absolute must-win of a match. You need to really rack up as many points as you can at this point because you're fighting for top 4, top 5 in the EPL standings to get that Champions League spot where Chelsea deserve to be back in to the Champions League. And I know they're going to do everything they can to get there because they're so close, and I'm sure they can taste it. So let's talk about this Tottenham match. You know, we got a Thursday, the only Prem match on the day. Home at the Bridge, where Tottenham have done terribly in their last 33, only winning 1. And Ange has not gotten a point off of Chelsea since becoming their head man a year ago. So the vibes were high. Was I worried? Yeah, I was, I'll be honest. The lineup came out, and I wasn't necessarily worried or excited. You know, you have a back 4 of Gusto, Chalobah, Colwill, and Cucurella. Was surprised to see Chalobah and Gusto, but I understand, you know, you're probably not playing Reece both games in this week, so I get actually resting him against Tottenham because I think Brentford is a game where you want a guy like Reece. You want your team to be fundamentally sound and really strong. Whereas against Tottenham, you can play a Gusto. It's going to be an up-and-down match. A lot of pace, a lot of frenetic play. So I actually get why Maresca went with Gusto there, and it ended up being a great call because he had maybe his best match of the year. Not really saying much for him. He struggled, but still, I think you look back at that, and that was a good move by the head boss, Enzo Maresca. And then you look at Caicedo and Enzo in the midfield, And then Palmer, Neto, Sancho, and Jackson up top in attack. A pretty strong attacking lineup, all things considered, for this Chelsea squad, which, again, maybe didn't surprise me a ton when you're going up against a team like Tottenham, who tends to have a high line and plays at a fast pace. And there's a lot of chaos all the time when these two teams play, especially over the last few years. So you want guys that are going to be fresh and can do that. Neto's a guy like that. Jackson as well. So it's going to be huge. And you knew your midfield was going to have to dominate this Tottenham team. That's definitely one of their weak points. And Enzo and Caicedo definitely showed that they dominated. And boy, I keep talking about chaos, hectic pace. The first 2 minutes were pretty insane. And, I mean, I'm watching at my desk on my phone in the office, but Jackson almost bags a goal within a minute. You got this up and down play. Sone's flying down the left side for Spurs, and it was kind of insane. I thought we were going to get a goal right there in the first few minutes, and it didn't end up happening, but the pace, you could tell, it was just going to be one of those days. And it ended up being a fun first half, even though no goals were scored. You know, you had that early chance. Son later gets a pretty good chance where Sanchez makes a nice save. Sancho ends the half with a good chance off a brilliant save by Vicario on Tottenham. But no team was able to get a goal in that first half. And I thought Chelsea were definitely the better side in the first half. They had a better plan. I don't really know what Spurs' plan was, you know. It seemed like they were giving guys a lot of space at times. Sancho on the left got into the box almost at will whenever he wanted to. Not sure what the plan was there. He didn't end up doing anything once he got in the box, which really frustrated me, and I know frustrated a lot of fans that were at the bridge, but it was good to see him at least kind of retain the ball and have some good opportunities. I thought Palmer looked good. It was interesting, he ended up on the left side a lot, which I tend to not love when he's on that side. I think he's just so much better on the right when he can cut in and get shots off. You know, there were multiple times in that first half and even a little bit in the second half where he's on that left-hand side. And if he was a right-foot dominant player, he would have gotten multiple shots off, at least a couple, on that left-hand side. But he doesn't look to shoot because he doesn't really shoot with his right foot, which is kind of understandable. So that frustrated me a little bit, but ends up paying it off for the second half. I thought that in the attack, Neto was decent. You know, he works so hard, which I love. And even when he's not having the greatest day statistically or technically, he's always going to put in great minutes, which is great to see. Same with Nico Jackson, you know. First game coming back off injury. He was out for a little bit. It's always great to see him work hard, press hard, and be there for his teammates. You know, had a couple decent chances. On a different day, maybe one of those chances falls, and we see a Nico Jackson goal. We know we love scoring against Tottenham, but yeah, you know, that first half, just overall exciting. And didn't mention Sanchez was in goal for Chelsea. Had a mixed bag of a day, but yeah, we'll talk about him a little bit later here. So, you know, the second half, you're thinking maybe bring Noni on at some point for Sancho, move Neto over to the left. Is Reece going to come on for Gusto at some point? Is Caicedo going to come off? Because, you know, we saw him in the first half early on have sort of a dead leg situation where he gets hammered going in for a challenge. And that looks like he might not be able to continue. But I tell you what, talk about a guy that is showing he is the most complete midfielder in the Premier League. He is this year's Rodri. You know, I've been saying that, and it really is true because he makes challenges. He makes tackles. He was 5 for 5 with long balls today. He's just such a complete player and does so much for this Chelsea midfield. Without him, I really don't know where they would be. So that was great to see. And Enzo as well, you know, I thought had a really strong day. But as we get to that second half, you're thinking about potential subs, tactical plays, and Chelsea start off really strong. Cole Palmer gets a shot off, gets the ball back a little bit later, and flings in a beautiful mini cross from that left-hand side to an unmarked Enzo Fernandez with a wide-open header right into the back of the net, and Chelsea are flying. He does the badge celebration, telling everybody how much he loves this Chelsea team in London. And man, I just love this guy, Enzo Fernandez. He's shown that he can bag goals this year. His contributions have been awesome in the Premier League and in Europe as well. It's so great to see Cole Palmer finally gets that assist he's been searching for so long as well. And this team was just on it today in really that first 55, 60 minutes. And then, they get a second. It gets called off. A brilliant screamer by Caicedo. Colwell's off by like an inch. And after that, I did think Chelsea slowed down. I think they got complacent. I think when the second got ruled off, they kind of were upset, maybe in disarray, as at times they can be when they're up a goal. And I think Enzo did get a little bit too conservative with his subs. He brings on some subs that are purely for defense. He brings on Noni originally, which made sense for Sancho. But then he eventually brings on Reece, Tosin, and Dewsbury Hall for Palmer, Jackson, and Fernandes, signaling at that point that you're just really trying to lock down the game and park the bus in a sense because, you had 12 extra minutes. Spurs also had a goal that was, rightfully unallowed because of a foul. But I think Maresca maybe played it a little too tight toward the end. I was really worried that Spurs were going to get a goal in there somewhere, and they almost did if it weren't for a brilliant save by Robert Sanchez, who went flying through the air to get one on the ground by Son off a nice cross from Brennan Johnson. But it was an interesting call by Enzo Maresca, one that I didn't necessarily agree with, but at the same time it worked, so I'm not going to complain. And I think this Chelsea team showed that they can fight tooth and nail. There were some dust-ups at one point, Chalobah getting in guys' faces. I thought this team responded really well. They don't tend to do well coming off of international breaks. I just think Chelsea really showed me some things today, and I loved everything that I saw. So if I'm going to give some awards here, I got to go Moises Caicedo, man of the match. I just think you think he's going to get injured early on. He comes back out and is an absolute stud in the way he finished that game. Does everything for this team. Absolutely everything. He's just brilliant. Robin, I'm going to go Enzo Fernandez because I love this guy. I was telling Danny, I might have to get a jersey for Enzo because he is so fun. And he loves this team, and that's what I love most about him. Palmer, Gusto as well, shouts to them. And Cucurella, Chalobah. These guys are strong. They're sturdy. Colwell even. The entire defense was pretty solid on this day. So that was awesome to see as well. Great to have Jackson back. Great to have Noni make a little bit of a cameo as well. Let's keep riding the wave. Let's get to Brentford on Sunday. Go in to that place in London, G-Tech Community Stadium, and dominate. Let's leave no doubts for this Chelsea team. I want to go on a run. I want Champions League. I want the Europa Conference League trophy. I want it all. Let's go. Up the Chelsea.